All right, all right. 1 second, guys. Guys. Okay, this should be way better. Yeah, definitely this should be way better. Okay, cool. Sharing it with the tribe. Okay, cool. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is Uncle Makara, all relations. Let's get started today with another video. Today, of course, we're going to be speaking about a very, very important topic, which was also introduced by Mathis, and a powerful rant of the now to help people understand if you're avoiding the now, you're actually wrecking your life. Your future is definitely going to be worse if you don't master this one mental habit. And here's why you keep repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again, and how being in the now, how presence is the major solution, right? I know we call it peak performance shamanism, but it's really peak presence shamanism. Okay, if you really think about it, it's not about performing well, it's about being well, right? So let's make this raw and real. Procrastination isn't a delay, it's a self-imposed curse. It's a ritual of self-abandonment. It's you being a dick to yourself. Because every time you push a decision into a tomorrow that doesn't exist yet, you're signing a soul contract with chaos, with entropy. And as I say that, a crow landed on my window. Okay? So the longer you avoid the now, the more you feed the serpent of self-sabotage. And the way you can recognize the self-sabotage is if you're doing something just only for yourself, you get a guilt feeling afterwards, like shouldn't be doing this, I should be working, right? That's how you kind of know that there's something underneath the surface, this subconscious guilt that's acting underneath the surface, pulling you towards all these different things that are happening. So this is actually spiritual cowardice masquerading as planning, right? This is trauma looping. I'll think about it later. The Primal Sutra Nexus doesn't bow to that. Time is a dragon, and the only way to ride it is by gripping its neck in the now. When you delay your soul decisions, you fracture your timeline, right? You split into scattered versions of yourself. The versions of yourself stuck in regret, some are frozen in fear, but none of them are whole. And that's the whole meaning of healing, to be whole again, right? As we are talking about in the podcast yesterday. So if you want sovereignty, you got to own the moment, right? Command it like a deity with nothing to prove. Because if you're not present, then you're probably possessed. Possessed by the opinions of others, the fear of loss, possessed by unhealed loops whispering not yet, no, now. N-O-W, now. It's now ever. It's the eternitas. This is flow state deity yoga, not free state victimhood, right? Make the move, burn the bridge, kiss the edge, because destiny doesn't wait, and neither does the nexus. We don't defer our fate, we devour it. We don't delay alignment, we become it, right? So be here or be history. Let's get it. Greetings, gonna rewatch as I finish gym, but I'm here. Thank you for showing up consistently, example leading us. Appreciate it. Champ pack. Yo, Ferras, hey there, babe. Awesome. Great of you guys to join us. So, delegating your decisions to a version of yourself that doesn't even exist yet, right? Like some cosmic intern is going to show up tomorrow and fix what you're too afraid to face today. Right? If you're not waiting, then you're just withholding, right? You're not just thinking it through, you're playing spiritual hot potato with your own life force. And every time you say, I'll do it later, you punch the present moment in the gut and hand the steering wheel to your trauma because the future isn't where answers live. The future is where your unconscious suffering compounds like interest or like a bad credit card. And you think time will sort it out, but time doesn't heal, time exposes. Time shows you who you've become while you were busy waiting. So stop pretending your intuition needs more time. What it needs right now is your presence, your deep present joy. It needs your participation. If you don't occupy the now, someone else will. And spoiler alert, it won't be your higher self. It'll be your patterns, your parasites, your projections. But you're not stuck. Maybe you're just stalled, right? Because you've convinced yourself you're being careful when you're really just afraid to commit to your own damn becoming. So if you want out, then stop outsourcing, right? The word is outsourcing, right? What do these certain companies do to get rich? They pay like Chinese labor workers, right, for cheap. They can make it there and then they can bring it into the West and sell it for a really big price, right? But they're spending less than the price that they're offering, right? That's a business. That's outsourcing. But I'm talking about insourcing, okay? Big difference. Outsourcing is like I'm giving up my power. Insourcing is like my power is within, so let me activate it now. Owning your breath, owning your spine, owning your fangs, and deciding. Deciding meaning to cut out all other options, right? To eliminate. The process of elimination is to decide. Because freedom doesn't live in the calendar, it lives in the courage to show up now. And until you make the unconscious conscious, Carl Jung said, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This is a cornerstone of shadow work. So you're not unlucky, you're unaware. What you ignore within becomes your master. What you integrate within becomes your power. So the shadow is everything you refuse to see about yourself, right? It's not just your darkness, it's also your unclaimed genius, your intuition, your sensuality, your power. You suppress it, it becomes a monster, but if you embrace it, you become whole. You become an authentic character in this video game of life. You know, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul, said Carl Jung. Distraction is the new addiction, right? Netflix, politics, sex, spirituality are all detours from the one thing you must confront, and that is your own depths. The world will ask you who you are, and if you don't know, it will tell you who you are. Jung knew that identity is not given, it is forged. So if you don't claim your archetype, your culture will assign you a placeholder and call it normal. That's why you got to claim your archetype, right? If you really are the outlaw king, you better start behaving like one. You better start understanding that this is where I am naturally in my baseline. I'm naturally in my presence here, in my zone, in my element, whatever you want to call it, right? Being in the flow state. When you are there, everything else dissolves, right? Because you're completely absorbed in the moment, in the now. You're not depressed in the past thinking about what has happened. You're not thinking about the future, getting anxiety like what's going to happen. You're fully immersed in the nowness. So Jung wasn't interested in philosophy unless it was soaked in blood and personal myth, right? He wanted warriors of inner truth, not parrots of borrowed belief. So this is why he said your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. I'm just reading off some Jung quotes and riffing right now, but so he next quote is individuation is becoming the person you are meant to be, not what your parents, teachers, or influence programmed into you. Okay. This is a sacred rebellion. The real spiritual awakening isn't about love and light. It's about becoming an original soul, right? Your mind is wild, but it's gold. It's a gold wilderness. So don't shut it down. You become a wild man, wild woman. As you walk, you visualize, you enact. You go back to the alchemy of movement, not suppression. Jung understood that we don't have ideas, ideas have us. So archetypes are not figments of your imagination, they're actual fields of living energy, right? They move through us. You don't invent your purpose, okay? You don't invent your purpose, you awaken to it. What's up, core God? So this is really an important thing to understand, to be here now or to be hijacked later, right? So if you think presence is a mood, it's a weapon. It's a sacred stance. It's a final frontier between you and your self-betrayal. Every breath is a delay. Every decision you toss into the future like trash that you'll deal with later. You're just feeding the beast made of loops, lies, and latency. That beast is the unconscious. It doesn't sleep. It doesn't forgive. It waits. And it bites you when you're the weakest. See this moment right now. This exact flicker of the now is the only place where your soul can rewire its fate. Not tomorrow, not as you're procrastinating, not, not when you're ready, not when the stars align or when the ayahuasca kicks in, now. Okay? Because why? Why am I really emphasizing the now? Because this society wants you drifting, not deciding, numbing, swiping, just being in that state of just completely like a philosophical zombie, right? So this is the energy. You delay, you decay. You're either inhabiting the moment like a god or being hunted by your own neglected energy. So when you're not present, someone else is piloting your avatar. Is this making sense, guys? So when you delay your truth, you're giving power over to probabilities. So when you ghost your own now, you marry your own suffering. And when you breathe here, when you listen with your third rib, when your spine sings I am into the marrow of the earth, and you become the sanctuary, you become the source, you are no longer a student of time. You become an eternal witness that time reports to. So what's the move? Don't just practice presence, consecrate it, right? Sit with your breath like it's a burning scroll from God. Watch your thoughts like they're thieves in your temple. Speak only when your words vibrate the truth. The now is not a concept, it's the ceremony. So come correct. Stand still inside the storm and realize delay is the devil's currency. But presence is your passport to sovereignty. So root yourself in the now so that fear can't touch you. Rise like lightning. Remember, God doesn't dwell in tomorrow, right? God is the now. You're a meat-colored lightning bolt that's been lied to. They told you reality was bricks and bills and busy schedules. They told you healing had to be difficult and hard and that growth had to be slow. But I am also here to tell you, energy doesn't play by Newton's rules. Okay? We have a Newtonian model of understanding. But energy is faster than thought. Energy is truer than trauma. Energy doesn't care what your resume says. It cares what your frequency is. So you might think that, yeah, change is hard. That's because you're trying to bulldoze your reality with physical effort when the blueprint was always energetic, right? I mean, look at the world. The physical realm is a result, not the cause. It's the ash, not the fire, right? And most people are trying to rearrange the smoke when the real flex is to learn how to light the flame. So if you are a savage shaman, your life feels blocked, your aura feels tangled, your relationship feels off, your field is leaking, your mind is chaotic, your kundalini is choked in your gut like a serpent in a trash bag, the fix is energy work, real work, soul gymnastics. Not fluff, not vibes, not journaling by the moonlight. I'm talking precision flow, conscious tuning, inner circuitry mastery. When you get this, you don't need to beg some guru. You don't need another damn self-help book. You just need to tune in and get hands-on with your own subtle body. Because when you shift your energy, your timeline warps, your past heals, and your future submits. And your present, well, let's just say your present becomes divine. Now, I'm not saying don't take physical steps. I'm saying start where the real power lives, at the source, the infinite, the unseen, the silent grid beneath your noisy life. So if you're stuck, if you feel like you're looping the same karmic Netflix episode, then stop scratching the surface and start surfing the field. Because this is the new era. The mystic is the engineer, right? The wizard is the architect. The ones who know how to bend energy, they bend reality. So light the spine, pick up the staff, and rewire the game because your quest has already begun. Okay? Your quest has already begun. So think of presence as your firewall, right? The more present you become, the less energy sticks to you. So you don't need protection crystals or spiritual hazmat suit when you're rooted in the truth of the now. Why? Because presence transmutes. The now does not resist. The now you will notice is just dissolving. Whatever thoughts are coming or going, whatever emotions are coming, they're going, and you're back into this witness consciousness again, right? Your aura becomes porous to divinity through presence and invisible to psychic parasites through presence. This is why it's so important, right? It's a spiritual firewall. Second, pain bodies are Wi-Fi routers for negativity. So if you've got unprocessed pain looping in your field, you're broadcasting a frequency that connects you into the global negativity grid, right? It's not just your mood, you're tuning into a collective psychovirus. So you have to clear the residue when your signal drops. Are we getting this? So, of course, the feminine form is also hyper-tuned, right? A lot of people, they see it as over-emotional, hypersensitive. No, but it's an antenna power. It's not a fragility, it's an antenna power. And the curse is what you feel deeply, you tend to identify with. The healing comes when you can say, I feel it, but I am not it. Feel the pain, let it pass like weather. Don't set up a shrine to it, right? Amen. Right? Darkness can't stick to your field unless there's something in you still clinging to it, right? Negativity always needs a hook, a resentment, a belief, a wound. It needs a hook. And once you clear the hook and the energy passes through like wind through bamboo, you understand that having a clean frequency means spiritual immunity. So imagine presence is a healing virus, right? You walk into the room as presence incarnate, you will shift the entire grid of that room. Not by taking on others' pain, right? This is what happens. An empath walks in, they're taking on other people's pain. They are, being the sacrificial sponge. but by dissolving resistance in the field, right? What if we thought of our words, our mouth, as something that dissolves the resistance in the field, right? How powerful of a concept is that? That you can use your communication and your words to dissolve any conflict, any resistance, just through how you're speaking, right? You become the silent bonfire that burns karmic smoke around you. No drama, no martyrdom. You don't suffer for others, you suffer with them. Sit with the dying, sit with the wrecked. Not to fix them, but to radiate the kind of stillness that says, even here, even now, we are untouched. That's real healing, man. That's presence magic. The full moon doesn't make you crazy, your lack of presence does, right? The Luna just amplifies what's already unresolved in you. So people don't go wild because of the moon, right? They go wild because their internal chaos has no master. But if you're present, if you're mindful, you can bring your energy to the now. What can I see? What can I touch? What can I feel? The moon then becomes a mirror, not a trigger for you, right? It's just a subconscious mirror. So, what if your thoughts were like telepathic plugins? Every negative thought you dwell on connects you to a web of millions thinking the same thing, right? Suddenly, it's not just your anxiety, right? It's the EMI of everybody else's ego, mind, identity. So sometimes we got to unplug from the hive mind, right, guys? We got to drop in and drop in deep. Empaths are not meant to be trash bins for the world. We're not meant to be like doormats, right? We're meant to be like firepower, baby, right? We're meant to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger or something of the spiritual world, right? We're not here to take on other people's energy signatures. We're here to radiate the alternative, to be the field, not the filter, to be a presence, not a processor, right? So a lot of people, they think that stillness is passivity. Stillness is a spiritual weapon, guys. You know why? Because it's translating to I've stopped running and you can too. And sometimes, just sometimes, when your presence is pure enough, others will feel safe enough to come home to themselves again. One of my favorite mantras nowadays, something I've been doing, is just tapping on my chest like this. And hold on. I don't know what I'm hearing right now. I'm hearing an ad in the background. Very strange. Oh, okay. It's coming through Spotify. No wonder. I was like so confused. What the? All right. Anyway. Okay. There's a weird rap song playing, but I'll just still continue. So one of the things that I've been saying is to myself is welcome home. Okay. You can try this yourself. You just tap your heart. You can tap your solar plexus as well. Welcome home. Welcome home. You have arrived. Okay. You have arrived. I've also been saying, what was another one that I've kept saying? Well, anyway, the last one that I did was Welcome Home, and I'll share it with the adepts if the other one comes up. But that was the download. It's like, welcome home, welcome home, welcome home. Welcome home to me creates presence. It creates a safety because the idea subconsciously of home is meant to be one where it's not so chaotic and dysfunctional, but usually we grow up around something like that. And so our ideas and concepts of home gets transmogrified in our minds through our belief systems and what we've observed, right? But instead, if we can find an inner home, an inner sanctum, right? Shangri-La within, then you can always welcome yourself back home. And you don't need to worry about what home is being projected on the outside. You see, I traveled the world to so many different places. I didn't have a sense of home. It's only when I came back here in India to regroup myself, my consciousness, to regroup my consciousness actually, because as you travel to so many countries, your consciousness splits and fragments, right, into these different countries too. So as I came back to India, I started to notice like all my energies, my power is coming back to the hometown, right? And I stopped carrying what was never mine, right? You are not a dumping ground for dysfunction. You are a transmitter of presence. So burn like it, breathe like it, walk like it, talk like it. The medicine of presence is the greatest gift you will ever give another human being. It's not advice, right? It's not solutions. It's not some shiny spiritual toolkit. It is your attention, your presence, okay, your energy. Anybody have any questions coming up through this topic? It's a very interesting topic. Just be raw, be unpolished, right? Just be fully there. Because let's be honest, most people don't need fixing, they need witnessing. They're not asking you to solve their storms, they're asking you to see them in the rain, right? To let them cry without needing to mop it up with your logic. You see, the empath trap is this: you feel their pain, so you rush to end it. But often you're just trying to end your own discomfort with their pain. And when you do that, you rob them of their sacred expression and you become the intruder in their healing ceremony. So, what if I told you real healing doesn't need you to be the fixer? It needs you to be the sacred fire, silent, steady, glowing. Because when you hold space without needing to do, your light says what words never could. Welcome home. You're safe here. You're allowed to feel. I'm not here to rescue you. I'm here to respect you, right? And when that's felt, oh man, it's like God is entering my room, you know? When you let go of the savior syndrome, it's not on you to heal them. That's divine territory, because then you stay in your lane. You're not just the healer, you're the lamp, you're the lighthouse. So light it up, 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 and be still and let the universe do what it does best, which is grace through a presence. Okay? This realm isn't a school, it's also a harvest field. And you're not just a student, you're a crop. So unless you wake up, not fake woke, not the love and light bypass woke, I'm talking torch lit, dark dancing woke. We are born with open currents, radiant, multidimensional, telepathic, but our primary imprint, that birth trauma, that emotional neglect, the silent cry in the crib when no one came to answer, it opens portals. To what? Entities, AI frequencies, false guides wearing halos made in China. You think you've got anxiety? You've got an interdimensional squatter feeding off of the echo chamber of your pain. So trauma you would never resolve is actually an open wound. And an open wound is a louche leak. A louche leak is a buffet for parasites, and parasites keep you looping in pain. And the ego is their inside man. right? Or woman. They jump in when you're vulnerable. So a shape-shifting entity pretends to be your comforter when it's really your prison warden. Trauma bonds are the contracts. The false matrix isn't just technology, guys, right? It's emotional architecture. Your ego was built to be hijacked. Your shadow was forbidden to be owned. Your pain was monetized by entities with no face. This isn't a metaphor. This is black market spirituality, right? And the way out, yes, there's one way out, presence. Presence is the exorcism. Witnessing is the revolution. Self-love is the act of rebellion. Authenticity is warfare. Shadow work is the scalpel. Presence is the surgeon. You don't cast out darkness with love alone. You cast it out with clarity, fire, the sword of discernment, the shield of creator-aligned frequency, right? So this is a ritual for the soul hacked. You got to witness each other without fixing each other. Witness somebody and their pain and their stories without trying to fix them, but through understanding, through deep heart connection. This recreates the neural pathways that trauma erased. So we integrate our alters, we meet our inner child, and we disinvite the imposters. Have you ever tried asking yourself, who am I? Not to answer the question, but to feel through the facade. If you ask yourself, what is my purpose? Without trying to edit yourself, but whatever image, little whisper, story, little sigil, symbol, whatever comes through, right? You trust it. Now, of course, some people ask these questions and they end up in existential dread. However, at the same time, I would say vows, agreements, karmic debris, whenever they show up, whenever contracts show up, just say, I return to source, right? I return to source. The war isn't out there, it's in here. Every unspoken wound, every avoided shadow, every sugar-coated spirituality that tells you to ignore your rage. You're not crazy, you're remembering, and they hate that. Let them hate. You want to know the real reason you're miserable? It's not Mercury retrograde, it's not your exes, it's not some ancestral curse. It's you delegating your decisions to a version of yourself that doesn't even exist yet. Right? This is why I use the term cosmic intern. Like some cosmic intern is going to show up tomorrow and fix what you were too afraid to face today. So you're not just waiting, you're withholding. You're not thinking it through. You're playing spiritual hot potato with your own life force, as I said. So this is why we have to have the courage to show up now. Okay, guys? We have to have the courage to show up as we are. Now, of course, reprioritize your commitments and different things that are happening, right? Always make sure that, alchemy is just a hobby, it's an operating system. Okay? Our beliefs are smoke screens, man. You can wear them like armor, but if they aren't turning pain into presence, then congratulations, you just built yourself a golden cage and called it truth. This is what I realized yesterday. So I wrote down all of my self-criticism, all of my limiting beliefs, and I asked myself, how can I turn this pain into more presence in my life? And I made them into affirmations, questions to ask myself, right? And I moved forward with it. I recorded it on my phone. I listened to the recording before I went to bed last night, including listening to a Nam Jap of Radha right in the background. Besides that point, right? I have all this tech going on in the background, but besides that, if you're saying I'm angry, right? You're still in the audience. When you say my chest is tightening, my jaw feels like iron, my belly is quaking like the earth's about to split. Now you're backstage with the soul because that's embodiment. So speak even when you're speaking. You're not just saying, "Oh, my face is itchy." It's like this is the holy reboot before the next cosmic game, right? But nobody normally speaks like that. That's the thing. But I also believe this is why we don't shift rapidly. Because imagine if you did speak like that, if you spoke to yourself like that. No one has to know how you're thinking about you, right? That's your own privacy, the privacy of your own thoughts and your own inner gatekeeper and your own imagination, right? So that's the thing. You think your pain is yours, but your inner child is holding a master key to karmas you inherited from 13 grandmothers and a forgotten star lineage. When you honor that, you unlock the divine child. Innocence not as weakness, but a holy reboot. But if you ignore it, then you start to repeat patterns, right? Listen, spiritual awakening isn't sexy, okay? It's surgery without anesthesia. Forget your little butterfly metaphors that you're reposting. This is calcination. This is when God sets your personality on fire and goes, let's see what's left when the performer's mask melts. And if you can make it through, you don't get applause, you get sovereignty, you get stillness, you get front row seat into your own becoming. Because karma isn't punishment, it's feedback. Not from some judgy deity, but from your own soul whispering, hey, did that really feel like you? Did that really feel like you? And reincarnation, that's God binge watching itself from every possible perspective until it's bored enough to ascend. So your purpose is your power, not power over, not power through, power as presence. So stop postponing your pain and calling it productivity and start alchemizing your life like the gods have left you in charge because they did. And if the world doesn't get you, just bless them with silence that comes from masquerading and mastering your madness. Cue thunder, cue soul. Uncle Makara out. Let's get it. Spirituality is a language, absolutely. Let's get it. Upward Spiral Gang, may we never be the same again. Thank you so much for tapping in. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day, wherever it is that you're tuning in from. Remember, it's showtime all the time. We're all gonna make it. I'll see you guys on the other side. Take care of yourselves. Let's win. Let's continue to win. Upward Spiral.